And site facilitator is the role of the person who coordinates the PDS partnership at the school. And that's the person who will primarily be working with Mandy through lots of communications throughout the year. And then the university facilitator is the university-based person who is the point of communication back into the school. So for our partner schools, Mandy is that primary communication link between Mason and our schools. Unfortunately, Mandy, are you able to see the chat on your end?
Let me see if I can make that happen. I'm also I'm doing a video of this as well, Audra.
Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah. So, but I'll work on trying to see.
Found it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so zoomed. I was like, where is? Okay, got it. So if there anything pops up or questions, feel free to use that chat window, and I can see those questions on here now too. So
yep, I got it too.
Absolutely, feel free to happen. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, reorienting yourself to a new platform is not that fun. There we go. Got it. I found my participants too. Awesome. So just I thought it would also be helpful, just kind of give you the big picture at Mason and the students that you may be working with in our various school university partnerships across the year. So we now have 3 licensure pathways to an elementary ed license at Mason. The first is the one that you're probably most familiar with. It's our MED in curriculum instruction. It's a post-grad. So those students tend to go to college. Maybe they major in something other than education, and they come back for post-degree and get their master's and licensure. We also have had, for the last 6 or 7 years, a bachelor's to accelerated master's, and that's the 5-year program. So if you're a student at Mason, you're pursuing a major in another concentration or area, and then you add on your master's degree in 5 years rather than the 6 years, the 4+2 of the MED program. And we just opened this past year an undergrad program, and we have our first group of at least 18 students this fall. So we're still growing. It's possible that could go up to like 35, 40, but right now we're at 18, and it's primarily transfers from Nova who are populating this first cohort because since it just opened for undergrads who enrolled at Mason as freshmen, they're about 2 years out from hitting that program, and it has had really strong interest, which we're super excited about. Awesome. So that's the 3 different types of students that you may see. And honestly, if I go back, the first 2 are quite similar. You wouldn't know they're in the same program, same track. They're all kind of rolled into one. The BSED is going to be a little bit different. So in our model, I think this is our meeting. This was in the application packet, but just so you have some sense of how this all works. Our PDS network is comprised of partnership schools, clinical practice schools, and collaborative inquiry schools. And schools move in and out of these roles based on your capacity, based on our number of students and capacity. And in a nutshell, the biggest difference is that our partner schools work with our early field work students. And so they really get our program off into a good start to really make those early connections to help us get students on a professional trajectory with some of those ethical and professional behaviors that students need some coaching in. The partnership sites are really where those are critical. And in our partnerships, we often have students placed in a number of configurations. Sometimes we have students placed where they are working with a teacher and they set up their hours on their own schedule. Sometimes we ask if a school wants to partner with a specific teacher. So I saw that Chris is on the line. Chris and Betsy Brown have worked before at Groveton Elementary to have a site-based course where the site is taught at the course. The course is taught at the site, and the students are all placed within that building for field hours during the context of the course instructional time. So sometimes we have that scenario. And then we are hoping with our undergrads that we can do more of that site-based course instruction with schools adopting a cohort, right? And really kind of taking ownership of a group of students from beginning to end. So those are the ways in which we'll be seeing many of our partnerships in the field hours work.
Virtual, please give me a call, 703.
So let's see, next slide. So what is the role kind of the site facilitator? We're hoping this will just help clarify some things for us. And I think if there are people that are experienced site facilitators on the call, they are a great guidance. So if anyone is new, I'm happy to pair you with a site facilitator who's been with us for a number of years, to provide some coaching or some insights, to even just say, here's something that's worked well in our school. And we can certainly do that today as well. So I know we have a couple of experienced folks on the line. But in a nutshell, the role of the site facilitator is that conduit to Mason. And that includes this kind of keeping an eye out for emails, which I am sure will be many over the next month as we try to sort out what we're looking like for the fall. The other kind of key responsibility, I think, is welcoming the teacher candidates in. And we've definitely found that for our students who have a field experience where there's a shared welcome meeting or event, it really just shapes their experience in such a positive way. Now that we have such great virtual options with Collaborate and with Zoom and with WebEx, I think those things that have been challenging in the past, kind of getting students to a school site at the same time, can really be greatly facilitated by the use of some Zoom technology. So that kind of welcoming orientation is really powerful. It also might be that this year that's done through pictures and a video of the building. I think we're just going to have to think really creatively about what it means for our students to be in the school building and what it looks like to kind of welcome them and orient them. But even things like parking and signing in and kind of protocol procedures, it just helps ground them all in one spot. It definitely, the role of a site facilitator is to help to build some some collective accountability for the interns so they know you and a person in the building that they can go to. Keeps us all informed. I think from Mandy's perspective, it facilitates that matching process for placements, which is, I think, Mandy, if you want to talk about that maybe a little bit, just a bit about how you send out the matches or how we have historically sent out the matches and how that process works, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is quite a process. That word belongs there because so we get our list of students and from there we do a little bit about geography, what works for the students and where is the best place for them to be. And then from there you get an email from me to the site facilitators saying, listen, we have X number of students. We need them to be placed in, and sometimes I might say for field hours, for anywhere from, K to 6 is fine. Sometimes if they've been in a placement previously, and part of our program is making sure they have multiple experiences and different grade levels. So I might say, if possible, they were in 2nd grade last time, if you have anything 4th grade and above, just so they get a little bit more of that variety. And so from there you find as a site facilitator mentor teachers that are willing to have a student in their class and be a mentor to them as they move along. Typically once you've got those placements, you send them back to me, and then I send another email. Yay, we don't get enough of those. And I send an email where it gives you a little bit more information about the particular class that they're going to be in. So whether it's social studies methods or they've got Lit 2 this fall or math, what have you, just so that teacher gets a little bit more information. And actually, I probably will send you what the classes they're having beforehand, just in case it's departmentalized in your upper grades. And so in addition, I send a little blurb from the professor of that course saying a little bit about assignments that student will have over the course of the semester. And then after you get bombarded by me with a couple emails at the beginning of the semester, it's kind of, they're out there in the schools, they're getting their hours, so it's just a really, the relationship becomes really just between the mentor teacher and the student, although the site facilitator obviously still there to help out and let me know if there's any issues, because that's the next part. If there are any issues out there with the matching process, with the matches that are made, Audra and I are happy to kind of help through that sometimes. So. And then we do it all over again the next semester. So that's a little bit about how that works. But hope that helps. Is that good, Audra?
Yeah, Thank you.
Of course.
And I think that last piece, that dissemination of information is and the expression of just concerns that you have is so helpful for us, particularly students who in our field work or in their early field hours, they're learning to navigate a professional setting. And so if there are triggers, things that you notice, tardiness, lack of communication, professional dress, all of those things, just if they start ringing bells for your mentor, the last thing we want is for our mentor to be like, I don't want to work with these Mason students anymore. They can't show up on time. Let us know so that I encourage the mentors to let you know, or to the mentors to even reach out to us directly, whatever gets the message to us that, hey, this student really needs some coaching on what it means to be a professional. And Mandy and I have gotten quite good at that. So we're like not afraid of those conversations. Just send them our way. We're happy to coach them. So, and then the other piece is that Mandy does an amazing site facilitator newsletter.
Well, let's not oversell it, Audra.
It's amazing. So we started finding that rather than meeting, I think we were meeting monthly early on, that those just became a bit redundant. So Mandy began sending out a newsletter that was just kind of that key information. And then if it's helpful, we can certainly gather like this, maybe at the end of the first semester to say, okay, hey, what worked, what didn't work, what can we use moving forward? And then we can always meet again in this setting at the end of the year as well, or as needed. So if you've got critical mass says, hey, Audra, we need some guidance on whatever, send it my way and we can set it up. Again, I think that if we try to find a silver lining every now and then, one of them is that we've all gotten quite accustomed to this kind of technology as a meeting tool. So greatly enhances us not having to come to campus to meet. In terms of other roles, I think we hit all of the key roles for partner schools, for site facilitators. I wanted to just give you just a quick snapshot of our different partner schools this year, and we're super excited. We have a number of new partners that we are thrilled to welcome to our work, and that was the other reason that we thought it's really important that we all get together in one room and just start the year off with a consistent message. So we are, again, thrilled. And I think on the next slide, it will kind of show you, next couple of slides, it'll show you all the different ways in which we might seek engaging with you in this upcoming year. So Mandy mentioned that, that our students typically will come to you with a list of courses that they're taking, or Mandy will provide that information. And so across this entire year, and I would say in general, our students that are placed in our fieldwork for our early partner schools are in one of these 4 courses, or 2 of these 4 courses. So our MED and our Bachelor's to Accelerated Masters, those students typically have 30 field hours that they are supposed to complete across the semester. So we ask them not to do 3 10-hour days. Like that's not cutting it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the end of the semester is not going to cut it. So we ask them to spread 2 or 3 hour chunks across the semester. We typically encourage them to set up a schedule with their teacher. We encourage them to exchange information, and we absolutely encourage them to share the information. Mandy will have emailed it, but we also encourage them to share the information with their teacher regarding their key assignments for these courses. And again, these are the 4 courses that they're typically taking in that first block, fall and spring. So Foundations, a child development course, an Intro to Methods and Management, and then an early literacy course. So what do we know about next year? I don't know. I don't know. And we woke up to the news that Prince William's online for the first quarter, so that I thought, I almost pushed this meeting back, and then I realized, no, I'm not going to push it back, because as soon as if I push it back, still so much is going to change right before. So here's kind of what we know and what we don't know at this point from our end at Mason, and what the VDOE is telling us. So I was on a call last week with about 115 higher ed faculty members and placement groups, and VDOE is encouraging face-to-face field placements for early field hours. As I heard that, I immediately started to panic for you all because I recognize the second one, which is you're balancing more than any ever right now, so many different things. So I'll be kind of really honest about my stance on this. And we have a meeting at Mason. It's supposed to be scheduled for next week with our licensure programs. My stance is for early field hours, are there alternative ways for us to place students that don't require them to come into your building? Now, I would love when we have the discussion here to get your thoughts on that. And maybe I'm being too cautious or being too sensitive to what might be happening in schools. But I just thought my instinct was, are there ways to pair them online? Are there ways to have them do video observations? So that's kind of my preview of the next slide. I do know that for early field hours, we don't have people come in and do supervision like we do for internships. So while our supervision for interns will be remote, we don't have that supervision component for our field hours students, so that shouldn't be an issue. But just in terms of numbers, you can see how many students at a minimum we're looking at placements for the fall semester. So we do have a large chunk of students, and for our some of our MED students, they may be in site-based course instruction where their field placement is predetermined at a given school. We have some undergrads where we may do some work like that as well, where it might be that we have them site-based at a couple of schools. So we may be seeking some volunteers for a site that wants to grow a set of undergrads across the year and grow us as we work with undergrads for the first time. So we have a number of different kind of question marks about configurations for the fall, but I needed something in the what we know column, so it felt good right there. We know numbers, that's kind of where we are. What we don't know is I haven't heard anything yet about fingerprinting and badging procedures. So in Prince William and in Fairfax in the past, in Fairfax, our students had to be fingerprinted and badged before they could engage in field hours. So I don't know yet if that's going to be required, if they're just visiting online, or if that's going to be not required at all. And I don't know yet the procedures for Loudoun and Manassas City, and I think Manassas Park, we had them sign in at the office. I don't think we had them fingerprinted pre-placement. So there's still some questions about that, particularly as we look at online. Regardless, I think it's always have the students sign in when they come into your building, but various districts will require various levels of badging. What that's going to look like this fall, I don't know. I don't know about PPE for students. I don't know if they're in the school. Is that something that they would bring with them? These are the kinds of questions that, like, I don't know that we know the answer to yet. Mason is providing all students with PPE, but I don't know if that's on campus or if that's only if they have a face-to-face class. They're not pretty. Did you see the picture? They're just like a plain face mask.
Yeah, they're
plain. Have like Mason all over it.
Yeah, I was hoping for, where's the school spirit? I don't know.
Yeah, but I know. Didn't see it in the mask that I saw yesterday, but other things I don't know. Would they be required if they are in the building to attend safety trainings? I don't know. I'd love to hear some thoughts on all of these questions. And then one of the other questions is, we have had a mentor teacher training in the past, and it, long story short, is that it was a class. The class was no longer funded by Mason, so we've been getting a grant across the last couple of years. We are moving to take that training. We ran it last year with small groups at schools to pilot. We're really excited about the content. We put the training in the hands of our expert mentor teachers. We have applied for the grant again this year, and we're hoping to put the first component of it online so that it would be available for all mentors. But we just submitted the grant on Tuesday, so fingers crossed that we get the grant and we can put the mentor training, the first part, online for everyone. And then the second part we haven't organized, that would move mentors from kind of being qualified as a mentor to an advanced mentor, also will be designed as a synchronous opportunity. So that's coming, hopefully, with the grant in the coming weeks. We partnered with Virginia Tech and Region 2 and 4, so hopefully we'll get that rolling and have a really solid mentor training for everyone. And then kind of the last piece is that we've been tossing around at Mason, placing students in pairs. placing them at all. It's kind of where we are now. Where do we place them? Placing them in an online or with an online teacher. So I feel like that what we don't know, even though it looks shorter on here, felt longer than what we know part. So there we are. So I think what we had hoped we'd spend a good chunk of time on today is ideas. I mean, I'd love your thoughts on what you've heard. I'd love your ideas, what sounds impossible at this point, like not likely, I just love to hear where everyone is. So I'm going to, I took my screen share off. I'm just going to be taking notes kind of frantically here on my end as to what you all share. And I'm going to just open it up. And if you'd like to share in the chat room, that's fine. Or if you'd like to share out, that's fine too. Either way is great. So we'll defer to you all on what's best. I don't know that there's a raise your hand tool on this, so it's going to be the try and jump in quickly, like beat someone to the punch. Awesome. Hey, Karis, go for it. I like that. The actual raising of the hand works well.
Good morning. I'm sorry for my lighting, but since March, I haven't gotten it right.
No, you're good. You're good. We had to take our futon and put it down for our niece that's coming in town tonight, so it's okay.
My comment is that one of our next steps, since I'm in Manassas and we're going virtual, that we're going to next week is to work on a virtual instruction schedule.
Nice.
The hours that were given to us for each subject. And so then I would share that with you, and then you all kind of, hopefully the teachers can, or the students can use that to fill, because it's about hours too, right? They need to count the hours, because of course it's not going to be a whole day of learning, but they may be able to get what they need across grades, because some of the grades will be from like 2.5 hours to maybe 3.5 hours or something like that. So that's the next thing I think that we'd be able to share, hopefully.
That sounds great, Karis. And actually, I think I can see where that virtual piece might be a really great way to get them started in the fall semester, because they're looking at foundations of education and child development. So those instructors may also start reaching out to see if there are folks in the schools, in our school partners and our mentor teachers, that might be great guest speakers to kind of supplement, like if we can't see a particular aspect of foundations of child development and in action, can we tap into the expertise of a teacher who might be able to share their perspective on that. So, Karis, your point made me wonder about access for them to be able to see virtual learning, which I know I had luck observing in Fairfax through their Collaborate link, but I don't know if I don't think everyone's using that, and what that might look like in terms of sharing for online.
So, when we closed, we did mainly was the teachers recorded videos for students. In addition, teachers held class meetings on Zoom. And that's something that maybe the students could be a part of. Even though it was a class meeting, a lot of them did maybe a math challenge or some kind of drawing challenge or something to represent something they were going over with students. It of course is not as in depth, at least back then. We were just trying to get started. But perhaps so I'm not sure what the amount of live instruction versus pre-recorded instruction that will happen this time. I think it's a combination of both, but I'm not sure. But I think we could be creative on how the students could participate.
That's awesome to hear. And Zoom and actually pre-recorded might be a really great way to have them just access some instruction. We do have a couple of tools at Mason that we have two. We have Atlas TI, which is a video-based program that allows us to access a video database through the national boards. So it's the videos that teachers submitted for national board certification. And then we also have the teaching channel, which it gives us some snapshots, but it would be so much better to actually be able to connect with the teacher that recorded the video and know that person and have just some familiarity with the teacher and the student. That's great. What other thoughts are out there? Yeah, Jen, that's a great idea. Just partnering with a teacher to get an idea of like what went into a lesson and having them watch it. I think that would be exactly that, 10-minute Zoom conversation with a teacher to say, all right, tell me about what I'm about to watch. And I think those might actually, there's some things about online that have actually enhanced teacher ed. And I think that could be a great example of one.
Mm-hmm.
What other thoughts are out there about what we're about to encounter in the fall? And any ideas I can take to my meeting for next week from what's happening from a district perspective?
One more thing is that there may be some special education students that would report to buildings. So there might be an opportunity there. I don't know how many teach students are on a SPED track.
That's a great, I can mention that in the meeting I'm in next week, but I also in our foundations class, they do have a special education component to that course. So that might be an opportunity. I guess that brings up the question though about students in the building. Do you know what building access is going to be like for everyone? And it just hasn't been determined yet.
It hasn't been released. They're working on it right now. We're waiting for building protocols and all of the signs we're supposed to get.
Yeah. Okay, that helps. It feels like any decisions we make today would change tomorrow, right? Yes, that's a great point, Lauren. So having them start with just visiting those morning meetings would be a great starting point. And actually for the interns that I was working with in the spring semester, I joined a lot of those morning meetings because the kids were familiar with me, so I could participate in them too. So I think that's a great way for our students to get that initial access is through those Zoom meetings. Yes, and could the hours be shared across mentors? Yeah, I think that's fine, Jen. I think maybe now we're maybe even thinking in reverse, like maybe giving a mentor to candidates. But if you think having a team work with a mentor and team work with a teacher candidate might spread the wealth a bit, I think that would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I think that small group and individualized instruction, particularly in we've been trying to help our students think about transitioning away from seeing a lesson as this 45-minute to 1 hour chunk of time and really focus in our differentiation course on focus lessons and the workshop model. So I think that would be great for them to see too. Any of the varied ways that we're seeing instruction would be really helpful. Yeah, and Google Docs a great tool. So these students, I think one thing they do have a challenge with is the challenge we encounter is that they won't have a district email address yet for any of our district partners. They'll have their Mason email address. And so sometimes they run into a few barriers with Google Docs if the teachers are using the Google platform through the school district. Then sometimes the interns can't get access until when they come into internship, they typically get a district email address and then they have a bit more access, but just something to think about there.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely well versed in it. Well, so I think we're open. I mean, I think I've been thinking, will schools want another person in their building? I think all of their classes at Mason are virtual, synchronous. So I think originally I was a little worried that they would all be out in schools and then they'd all come together and share school germs and then all go back out again. It was part of it, but they won't be coming to Mason. So I think we're open. VDOE is saying go to the building. I think we're just trying to recognize that does that tax you all? Is that too much? Please tell us if it's too much. If it's, I think that's kind of the message I would want to send is that if we send this to you and your teachers are like, I cannot have all of this, masks, gloves, whatever, and someone else in my space. Or if the teachers might be viewing it as, yes, please let me have someone else in this space because they will be great additional support. I can see both sides of that argument. We definitely saw that with our interns in the spring they were such an asset to the mentors as they transitioned online. Just to be able to, like Mandy and I right now, to have two of us working in the chat and kind of reading the room, it's really helpful. So it may be that the mentors want that support in classrooms as well. I can certainly see the support working really well virtually. It did for us in the spring for sure. That's great to know that Mondays will be intervention groups. So that is a great opportunity for students to engage in the planning piece. I think that could be really powerful for them, and to look at small group instruction. So again, this is good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you all think I should take back? I'm not sensing like a huge. I think we all just don't know. Maybe that's it. Like, I don't know what we don't know what we know, right? We don't know right now. And I'm not sensing a huge pushback about them being in the building with mentors if they were comfortable and the school allowed it. Is that kind of the general sense, or are you thinking we just don't know because mentors don't know yet what they're doing?
Is there like a collective sigh out there that everyone has on mute? We're just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. So yeah, it is a great way to learn about flexibility.
Uh-huh.
I mean, our spring interns, they can do anything at this point. They're just like, bring it on. What else can happen? So yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I think, Karis, I think you might be right. I'm hopeful that that's the case. Well, I think from our end, just know that we will be communicating, and that I think districts may vary on what it looks like when we go back, and we can work. Our students, nothing that the early field hour students are doing will hold them up from a licensure perspective. So we have a great deal of flexibility, and we can work with what works for you and your faculty and your school guidelines and regulations. So, and if you learn things, feel free to send them our way. I wish I could say that.
I'm sorry, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Laura. I work at Beechtree in Fairfax County.
Hi, Laura.
Will we? So I know in the past it's kind of, how many teacher candidates can you host? We give a number and then we place them. Is it kind of going to be more this year, like how many teachers are willing to host? And then here are that amount of candidates. I guess I'm just worried about us getting maybe 5. And right now at my specific school, we, as of Monday afternoon, it was looking like a substantial amount of our students were requested in school. So I guess I'm just concerned that there aren't going to be enough virtual teachers from my school to host. And then there, maybe 2 more teachers in my building that are a little nervous to host in person.
Right. I think that's a great question. Maybe, Mandy, you and I can talk about, and actually if you have any ideas, if that makes sense, maybe we do send, how many do you think you can handle, or in what capacity? Maybe our survey goes a bit in reverse this time.
Yeah.
Is that maybe something like, what's your capacity to host online, kind of virtual observations, face-to-face observations, and then we can work backwards. And I saw that question, I think, pop up. When will we know? I think Mandy kind of popped in there and answered that one. The power of teamwork. Yeah, I think that might make more sense this year. And I appreciate that question so much, Laura, because it gets us thinking about just procedurally how to adjust to make it maybe less cumbersome, I think, for you all, trying to fit, something round into a square, to a hole, and vice versa.
And I think if I could chime in and add to that, I think this idea of me sending out like a survey for everyone, probably maybe in let's give us a little bit more time, maybe, the first or second week of August. Just because that's really, so if you know my timeline, I typically in a normal year would be.
I love when you say before times.
Before time. Well, is it before COVID,
before
after
times.
COVID? I don't know what we're doing anymore.
Yeah.
But I would be sending out an email. So maybe maybe second week of August or something, when we know a little bit more, when your teachers know more, and we know our what our numbers are for sure, you will get the first email from me, and it'll say, what is your capacity for, field hour students, right? And what is your capacity for online versus virtual, etc. And then we can come back to you. So be on the lookout. How about we just say we're going to do that survey, Audra? Is that cool?
That sounds great.
Okay, yeah. So thumbs up to that.
Yeah. I can tell you from the student perspectives for internship, I did send out hey, let me know if you have concerns about going back face-to-face, because VDOE has said that internship needs to be completed in a face-to-face environment for more than half the time. So that's where we are with interns. And of our 50 or so that are heading in for the fall semester, I've just had about 3 that have either have health concerns themselves or have health concerns for a family member they live with. The rest are comfortable going in. So I think that's one kind of piece of the puzzle, is they seem to be comfortable with going in that face-to-face environment. And the other piece I would add is with field hours, there aren't restrictions on who you can place with. So it can be a new teacher, maybe not a first-year teacher, but a second-year teacher or a third-year teacher. So it opens up the parameters a bit with which you can with whom you can place our students. So that's good for this situation, I think, as well. And leave anything out that you think, gosh, Audrey, you didn't talk about blank. Well, let's see what we find out over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll go from there. I feel like we've got 3 weeks, maybe, Mandy, before we head into placement time. So let's see how it goes. I feel like that's how we're all rolling these days. I appreciate so much that you all are here. And if any questions emerge that pop up later, feel free to email me or Mandy. And definitely just to kind of keep us posted if there are things going on in your context that you think might help us as we think about the partnership moving forward. But otherwise, I just wish you all good health and relaxation for a couple more weeks, maybe. Fingers crossed. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining today. We'll see you soon, hopefully in person at some point. Anytime soon.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Hi.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Hi, Audra, Mandy.
Yes.
This is Melinda Phillips. I'm with Carlin Springs at Arlington Public
Awesome.
Schools.
Yay!
I just wanted to thank you so much for this training because it's obviously new for us. I just wanted to make sure you had me down as a contact.
We will add you for sure. If we don't, actually, we could probably pull up the Google Doc.
I can't remember if you had me originally or if Eileen Delaney was just supporting me because I'm the AP here.
Oh, that's a good question.
She's transitioned to Fairfax.
Oh, so are you acting principal now?
We have an interim